wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody know the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in there, fork it up. Make country produce in there, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country. Riding on me donkey, transportation bliss. Me fireside bubbling a goodie. I hear rioting in the gas crisis. Surrounded by wild animals. What a vicious pack. But none of them does launch an attack. None of them poison us like invert and sap. The hunt always on, I could say that much. And true, can switch it off like crime watch. My mission now is to put a stop to whosoever fucking me country up. Some say a man named Eric, George, Robbie and Patrick. Some say Capildeo, Fadis, Kamla Basteo. Old man Bedu said they said nothing new. They fucking up long before 1962. If Butler was around, he might have tell we directly who fucking up me country.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rebuttal. I am Douglas Wattley, your host, and we have been going at it for more than a year now, and it appears that we're only getting better. If you're in St. Kitts and Nevis, or if you're in the St. Kitts and Nevis diaspora, no matter where you are in the world, welcome again to the Rebuttal, and I hope you have a good listen this evening. By now you've realized that we have gone beyond the 1 hour mark. We are now at an hour and about 15 minutes, and we're going to try for that this evening. If it turns out that we are having a good enough time, then we probably take it up to an hour and a half. So to all the people who tune in this evening, and some of you get the program after it has been recorded and republished. As usual, it's great to have you. And remember that our conversation is mostly political. So that's what you ought to expect, politics. I heard that the water situation in Keon has shown some signs of improvement. I hope it is not only sustained, but sustainable. I hope that the people of Keon could enjoy themselves the way we used to when we had water in abundance. And so let's hope for the best in that regards. I wanted to also say to those persons who prior to the election were promised house and some were promised land, make sure you get those things straightened out. Make sure you get your paper for your land and you start paying. Make sure that you keep agitating for that house. I don't want you to feel that you were bamboozled, even though for the most part you were bamboozled. Um, but if there's a chance for you to get your house and get your land, please make sure you do so. Um, Remember that the government and the Prime Minister said that there is a $30 million in the development bank which could be used for mortgages, which means you could use it to build your house. $30 million. So go in and put in your application and get your bit from that $30 million. I find it kind of interesting though that the government says that it put $30 million in the development bank, but that it can't find a couple of $1 million to pay severance. I thought that was funny. Um, the fact of the matter is, I personally don't think that the $30 million is there, but I want you to prove me wrong. Go on and apply and get the money because they said it was there. Now, I have to, I didn't want to, but I have to talk a little bit about this because, in fact, let me play the tape, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about it a little bit.
Yes, Ziley. The same night of the swearing in ceremony, I spoke to Lindsey Grant in front of his wife and Kansi Mitchum. And I told him I want to be on the port board because of my experiences. And you know what I mean? And that kind of thing. Working customs and with the port. That's my work entail being at the port and so on. So I got all the experience, all the qualification, now what's happening. And he told me no problem. Right? From there, I went and I spoke to Damien Hampson. And I told him, he told me you talk to me. So I said, yes, I don't talk to me. So he told me no problem. Right? And you look now, I spoke to Sean and I told Sean to talk to the minister for me. He told me no problem. Right? So that gone. And you look now, Damien come and tell me some bullshit. Right? Some bullshit. And I went and I told Sean and he tell me, Damien come and tell me, oh, your minister got Skellect board and your minister got urban development board. He put you on one of them then, huh? I said, but I want to be on a board where I got experience. I got the experience there. That's the best place to put me where I got the experience. So I could, get a much better contribution. Right? He started to go talking a hole. So I just said, wait. And I said, wait and see what happened. Now, I went and I talked to Shirley, my sister, and I tell her to talk to Lindsay for me about being on the board. Not knowing that Shirley was one who picked for the board. And she ain't pick shit and tell me nothing. Right? So, when you look now, at the service now, I saw Lindsay and I remind him again, he tell me no problem. And I went and I tell Sean, he tell me, and Sean told me that Lindsay tell him, not the board, maybe the next one. And Sean said, I'm going to tell you exactly what he tell me. And that's why Sean tell me that Grant tell him, not this board, maybe the next one. You understand? But my thing is, right, is that if Lindsay he not going to put me on the board, and I went to him long time, at least have the manners and the common courtesy to say something to me. I was calling him a couple of times and he never answered his phone. Never answer your phone. Right? And this is how they treat people and then want people to come and vote for them. But Lindsey Graham cannot say nothing to me again in life. Cannot say nothing to me again in life. Because anytime you see me say anything to me, the amount of bad word I'm going to give one can't done. You understand? He cannot say nothing to me again. I find his damn Wattley, right? And he's very disrespectful to me. Very disrespectful to me. Got me under false pretense, making me believe that I'm going to get you. And he know hell that me not going to get you. Tell me the truth. Come straight up as a man and say, but I had this answer and this and that. But don't be running around and give me all kind of bullshit and them kind of thing. He got done with that. And that is why I just blow he out. Right? I just blow he out and left him there. You understand?
Now, that tape is a tape, I'm told, of Hardest Gums. Hardest Gums is a staunch PAM supporter. You understand? So much so that when I used to be an advocate for Team Unity, which meant that I was advocating for PAM to get into office, when I met Hardest, we used to enthusiastically greet one another and have a conversation. But after I started talking against immunity for reasons that I believe I should have spoken out against immunity, the handshakes, the high, were less enthusiastic, and certainly we didn't have any conversation. Of course, that's because we didn't have anything in common to discuss. And so, I was surprised when I heard this tape because it caused me to ask the question, Hardis, what you bawling for? You're in politics long enough to know how this thing works, right? You all remember that Cons Edwards had a song, What All You Bawling For? I think the song went something like, what all you bawling for? For what all you are ball? That is a song that needs to be played right about now. And I noticed that a lot of people after this election are apparently having buyer's remorse. But that's the political game. Politics is not for the faint of heart. It is often a dog eat dog world. Just because you think that you helped a person to get elected, you ought to know and understand that when that person gets into office, the formula may very well change. As Tim has been heard to say, campaigning is different from governing. I interpret that to mean that even though I needed you to get me elected, I do not necessarily need you, now that I won, to govern. Because now I am in government. These are lessons you learn if you are observant and if you're around the game long enough. So it does not matter that you vocally supported Lindsey Grant, There is no requirement that Lindsey looks out for you, especially given that you are not in his constituency. You are in Sean Richards' constituency. Sean doesn't look after anybody else, Sean don't give a damn about anybody else who ain't from Sandy Point. And so it seems fair that he is who you should demand a board assignment from. Is Sean supposed to put you on a board? Sean got a couple of boards that he could assign people to. Urban development. Sean has Skelet, right? I know you argue that you wanted to go where you believe you had experience, and I understand that. Right? But the only how that would happen is if Sean and Grant got together and did an exchange. You go on the port board, and Sean and Lindsay would be able to put somebody on Skellig. You understand? But that obviously did not happen. And so, I mean, I understand what your grouse is, Don't get me wrong, right? I understand that. But I'm saying you also have to understand how the political game is played. And bear in mind, I don't think it's you leaked that tape. And I don't think you made that conversation for a whole bunch of people to hear. So you have to we consider your friendship with whomever you sent that tape to, because I think it has caused you some embarrassment. And I think your skin thick enough, so I wouldn't worry about that. But I also want to tell you, and others like you, right? It ain't easy for people to think in a derogatory way about you now, is it? Because this makes you look greedy. It makes you look greedy. And it doesn't make you feel good that there is evidence to suggest that you are greedy. And it doesn't make you feel good now that your greediness has been laid bare for everyone to observe. I have heard people say that I'm greedy. Now, I don't think I am, but I've heard it. And a lot of you guys bought into it. But one of the things I always like to remind people of, and this is why certain people have difficulty with me. I never one day called Tim or Eugene after the election in 2015 to ask for a job, to ask what was what was going on, to ask if they remembered me or anything like that. Me no call none of them. In both instances, as they called me. Eugene called me after 30 days in office. Timothy called me after 45 days in office. And I went because I thought that I had something to offer. I had something to do. Eugene offered me some work, right, that he needed done, which he couldn't find people to do. I did the work, and he has refused to pay me, right? But that's the way it is. Somebody told me that I ought to wait because karma is going to take care of those who treat you improperly. Well, maybe so, and maybe not. It is what it is. Eugene got me money, right? And I hope he remembers that every time he goes up in church and start to praise God. You see why I don't got difficulty with the issue of God and people praising and worshiping God, knowing how wicked and bad they be? You understand? And so, he got me money. He has refused to pay me. But like I said, that happens. I've heard stories from way back when, right, about people who have been unkind to others, people who have stolen from others. And it seems to be a practice under this government, because now it seems like a whole bunch of people who support them are finding ways to defraud the government of monies, and are waiting to see what they're going to do with those persons who are caught up in these fraudulent acts, and see if they're going to try to protect those who are their friends and punish those who are their enemies. I'm going to pause here and then we'll continue discussion in a little bit.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
on fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
Ready or not, hear my clothes, you can't hide. I'm gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check me area code, direct me area code. Anywhere me go, you know me touch the
to international.
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
tell me nothing.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, hear my clothes.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fork it up. Make country producing it, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of them politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who walking up my country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. Oh, by the way, and I'm not sure of this, but you could correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that Mr. Pistana will be the new chair of the Social Security Board. I heard also that Cecil Hamilton, brother to Eugene Hamilton, and a former long-time employee of the Social Security, would be on the board as well. And also my friend Lennox Liebert, I'm told, is on the board. Last week, I gave my blessing. I didn't find anything wrong with putting one's brother on the board. I might have thought so a couple months or years ago, but the way things have been going, the new normal that we practice now in St. Kitts, I can't argue with that. I think he has something to offer. And I'm not going to hold it against him because he brother wouldn't pay me my money for work that I did. That's a whole different ball game. And insofar as Lennox going on the board is concerned, I can't argue with that either. Lennox and Eugene are friends for God knows how long. And I personally believe that Lennox has something to offer. And when you look at some of the people who don't get on boards, I cannot argue with Lennox being put on a board. I know, though, if Lennox were to be the Lennox that I've always known, he may not last long. Because Lennox, once ago, never used to put up with nonsense. I can't say that about him now. I'm a friend, but I still can't. I can't say that about him now. Because we don't see eye to eye on a lot of issues. And I'm not sure that he's going to want to rock the boat in there. Now, I can't argue about who goes on what boat because, like I said, to the victor goes the spoil. Now, I also understand that Victor Earl is brought back as a board member because that I told you last week that Victor Earl would land on his feet because Victor got secrets for Tim. So Victor will land on his feet. He's gonna be okay. You know, these guys switched their loyalty from Sam to Tim in a heartbeat in the earliest days. They taught me lessons in human nature and human behavior that I didn't get to see firsthand until I met them. And there's a young lady from the board. I'm waiting to see how she lands, how soft a landing she gets. She too played Sam, right? And taught me lessons in loyalty, taught me lessons in self-dealing, you know. So I want to see how she lands because she too has secrets. And it behooves Tim to make sure that she gets a soft landing. Now, last week, I spoke to you about the assault on the government, or should I say assault by the government on the Social Security Fund. In my humble opinion, the government is jeopardizing the sustainability of the Social Security Fund. The fund is already in a precarious situation. In 2017, the Social Security Fund was projected to be depleted by 2038. Now that is less than 17 years from now. I am willing to bet that it is now scheduled to be depleted by about 2033, just about 12 years or so from now. That is my personal feeling and looking at the scenario. Now, in 2017, the projection was that the Social Security Board would run a deficit of about $3.2 million by 2023. I am willing to argue that the deficit at the end of this year will be in excess of $20 million unless the government reverses its decision, right, and pay back the $22 million that it says it took out for income supplement for COVID-19. That money wasn't supposed to come from Social Security. That wasn't planned for by Social Security. That money was supposed to come from government. And the government was wrong to take the $22 million from Social Security to pay for the stimulus package. These kinds of decisions are putting the Social Security Fund in jeopardy. I call on the government to repay the $22 million to the Social Security Fund. I know you all ain't going to join me, right? But I don't mind going it alone. You need to return the money and take the money from the central government. You know, in 2017, the projection was that the Social Security Board would start using funds from its vast reserves, which is somewhere in the region of $1.6 billion, vast reserves to carry on the business of the Social Security Board. Personally, I believe that has already started. I believe that already taking money out of the reserve to run the Social Security, which means that 2023 has already come. We are already at 2023. Now, the present handpicked management of the Social Security, and I'm not talking about the board at this point in time, I'm talking about the CEO. Personally, I believe he's incapable of running the Social Security Board in a sustainable manner. I hope that the new board keeps him in check and make sure that we do what needs to be done. But of course, if it comes push to shove, right? Understand this. Tim gonna come along on the side of the CEO. He too holding secrets for Tim. So be careful how you agitate on that board. Now, to make matters worse, more than 10,000 persons who were previously contributors to Social Securities, more than 10,000 persons have been cut from the role of contributors. In other words, not nearly as much money is going into the fund at the present moment. And if the money is not going into the fund, it means that the fund is at jeopardy. And we ought to start paying attention to that, because a lot of us think that to be silent is to show support for the party that we supported at the polls. But you got to understand, you understand. There's some people who are already 62 and getting their pension. You ain't gonna hear much noise out of them because in their estimation, they're already getting pension. And so even if you make a move to change the pension year from 62 to say 67, it wouldn't affect them. You understand? And so you're not gonna hear peep from them. And I think that you could have a situation where not only the age is increased, but you're also going to have the percentage paid into as contribution going to increase. Right now you pay 11%, you're going to end up paying at least 15% in the near future. And so more money is going to come out of your pocket. And so we have to be careful about how we deal with the Social Security Board and its funds. One morning you wake up and you can't imagine how you got to a particular place. You understand? Don't play with that fund, because if the economic situation continues to be as poor as it is now, if it become prolonged, it means that less and less people are going to be working. Less and less people working means less and less money being made payable to Social Security. In that instance, it means that you are going to find yourselves using money from the reserves to run the Social Security. And it means that in just a couple of years, the money in the reserves would run out. And if the money in the reserves run out, you're going to have what we call a pay-as-you-go situation. And if you have a pay-as-you-go situation, it means that the contribution that people are going to be making to Social Security, so that people who are receiving benefits continue to receive the benefit, even if it is reduced benefits, the pay-as-you-go requirement, the percentage that you're going to have to pay in, is going to be in excess of 26%. I think I've seen numbers as close as 36%. that means that's what it would be coming out of your salary every month to keep Social Security afloat. And I know that you all think I'm just a troublemaker, but sometimes I don't talk sense. And at the very least, if you think I ain't talking sense, go ahead and do the studies for yourself. Talk to people who's smarter than me. Talk to people who know. And ask them if anything I've said, if there's a possibility that anything like that would happen. I'm going to keep harping on this, because none of you going to say, oh, And I want you all to start the discussion amongst yourself. None of you going to say, why, me know so it going on, right? Because you would be lying, since I would have told you so. All right? So, let's pause here and then we'll come back and chit-chat a little bit more.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. Great perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
Ready or not, hear my clothes, can't hide. Gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check me area code, direct me area code. Anywhere me go, you know me touch the
to international,
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
Tell me nothing.
so on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, hear my clothes.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fork it up. Make country producing it, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say so a man resembling one of them politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who forking up me country.
Welcome back to the rebuttal. And here's a question. Why did the Team Unity government choose to re-employ a couple of persons in positions as ambassador? Now, I believe that these ambassadors are going to be paid for their positions. Ordinarily, an ambassador makes about the same as a permanent secretary. Now, there are some times when the ambassadorial position may just be ceremonial and as such wouldn't be paid. But I think that these positions are paid positions. And so it causes me to wonder why, at a point in time where the country and the world is in its worst health and economic crisis in more than 100 years, why are we expanding government when there is a threat on the country's ability to generate revenue, to generate income? We're expanding government. Think about it. This is the first time that the cabinet has been as large as it is. The cabinet is significantly large. It has in more persons than it has ever had. Those from Nevis, those from St. Kitts, plus senators. But look at what we are just now doing. Think about it. I like Vance ordinarily, but Vance don't need to be working right now. Vance, before he gets paid as an ambassador, would be, if I'm not mistaken, taking in about 4 incomes. I remember a lot of these positions that he has held before he got gratuities. But let's think about the pensions that he would be getting. Vance would be getting a pension for being in the NIA in Nevis. He would be getting a pension for being a civil servant in Nevis. I think he had reached the level of PS. He is going to be getting a pension for being in the parliament or parliamentarian in St. Kitts. That's 3. He's going to be getting a pension from Social Security. And now you are going to be paying him a full salary to be an ambassador. I mean, I'm sure that Mark is wondering when he's going to get out of the shadow of Vance. Because every time Mark thinks that Vance is going to get go into retirement, here comes Vance, still showing himself to be present. Then you look at Patches. Oh, and by the way, the age cannot be ignored. This government has a pension for hiring persons who are advancing age at the expense of young upcomers. This government is not about grooming young people, you know. A lot of you young people who voted for this government, you didn't vote for this government because you couldn't have thought that they were going to provide you with opportunities to gain experience and to grow and to make a solid living in the country. Because now they're bringing back Patches, right? and they're saying they're giving Patches special projects. Special projects? Name me one project that Patches had when he was Minister of Public Works, etc., that came in within time, quality, and cost constraints. You tell me. If you wanted somebody to do special projects, you have at least one person in the civil service right now with a master's degree in project management and with the professional qualification in project management. Use those kind of people, man. Give them an opportunity to shine. But you're bringing back Patches. Patches himself nearly 70 years old. Vance, if I'm not mistaken, is about 70. You have Patches is going to have 3 income, right? Sydney Osborne taught me Keon High, Basti High, right? Sydney Osborne has to be somewhere in the region of 78 years old. Michael Powell still on the scene. He's already 80 something, right? What happened to our young people? You see, me ain't counting me. I'm 58 years old. And I know that there is no way that I'm going to end up working again in St. Kitts. I don't come to grips with that. Me not got no problem with that whatsoever. You understand? But all these people don't want to leave. Don't want youngsters to get an opportunity. That can't be right. It can't be right. And then they're sending a letter to persons up at the customs to tell them they must ask for more time. Knowing fully well that all they want to do is to tell them no and they must go home. You understand? I'm going to tell you my position. I have no problem with the government enforcing its mandatory retirement requirement. Me not got no problem with that. When you reach retirement, I believe it should be normal practice that on the day you make that age, when it is the mandatory retirement, you stay home. Every other country does it. They think it should do it. I personally believe that. Right? When that time comes, I think you should go home and think. But you can't do it then at the same time bring people back who plenty times older than these people. You understand? It can't make sense to have people in your government 70 something years old, but you're sending home a guy 55. If it's a policy, let it be a policy and stick to the policy. Or if you're going to if you're going to come up with exceptions, write those exceptions into the rules and regulations and let everybody know what it is they're dealing with. All right? I want to know what happened to our young people. They are the ones who need experience. And let's face it, they're the ones who are going to be contributing to Social Security, not just taking out of Social Security. Because all these guys up there, them that don't stop contribute to Social Security long time. Right? The youngsters are who going to be providing contributions to Social Security. And they ain't going to be taking out none right now. You have all these people with years left to contribute to the development of this country. But you're not giving them an opportunity to develop expertise. They need to build a future too. They need to build a career. Come on, man. Move out the way and give the young people them a chance, man. Like I told you, I'm not asking for myself. My time of working and earning in St. Kitts and Nevis is over. Right? So I can and will only speak on behalf of everybody else. And let's face it, things are going to get difficult in St. Kitts and Nevis very soon. Some of you are going to suffer from pay cuts, increment freeze. Some of you will be laid off. You understand? But understand that none of Tim family gonna be laid off, you know. None of Tim people them gonna suffer any consequences. Right? Because they are members of a protected class. Is you vote for that, you know, not me. Some of you are getting paid by government. And for the time being, that's a good thing. But I notice how you gloat and how unempathetic you are to the less fortunate. But don't gloat too much and don't gloat too quickly. Your situation can go south very fast. And the government may have no choice but to cut you. And it will cut you before it cuts the pay for peace people, you know. Them would be the last to suffer any kind of consequence. And they will cut you before they cut the step and the pap. So don't get too cocky. Always remember this. There, but for the grace of God, go I. Whatever you see happening in the wider society could very well happen to us. And I say us because I'm a pensioner. And if things get sticky, if these people down in Social Security start continue to mess with things, I might not get my Social Security when I think I should get it, which is age 62. If they continue messing with government, I might end up getting a cut on my pension. Either scenario is bad for me. You understand? And it's also bad for you. So, a word to the wise is enough. I'm going to take a break now, and when I come back, I'm going to talk to you about what I believe to be the current financial situation of the central government of St. Kitts. And I hope you'll get a better understanding of where we may be at this present moment. So let's take a break.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
Ready or not, here I come, can't hide. Gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
Daniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check the area code, the area code. Anywhere we go, you know me touch the
to international.
Ay, I go shopping, want it, then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
Tell me nothing.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, you're my clothes.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle, and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fork it up. Make country producing it, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. And I think this might be the last bit I'm doing before we close out this evening. So we might go to about an hour and 15 minutes worth of presentation. I had previously talked about the people who work for government who figure that their jobs are safe and that it would always be so. But the fact is that the government is bloated. The government is bloated, especially now that the government has decided to bring about 3,000 step workers into the central government. It means that the government personnel and it means that the government pension, salaries, and wages bill would be somewhere close to $300 million that they must pay. $300 million a year. You see, when Dr. Douglas had held back increments back in the Great Recession, a lot of people kicked up because they didn't fully understand what was happening. I just want you all not to be too hasty. Those of you who gloating because you got a job and some people don't, you got to take stock because you may have to climb down from your high horse. So I want us to look to see what the government financial situation may very well be like at this point in time. I heard the financial advisor to the government said the other night that we may be in a lost decade. But he was counting the last decade from 2015 to 2025, right? You can't count from 2015. That's when Team Unity just got into power. Dr. Douglas left a very strong economy in 2015. As Team Unity take it and mess it up. And you guys, not recognizing what was happening, went ahead and gave Team Unity another 5 terms. Team Unity didn't do that well in the first 5 terms. And we weren't in a great recession, or we weren't in a depression, as we might very well be at this point in time. But let's look at the facts. In 2015, when Dr. Douglas left the government had cash and cash equivalents in banks around St. Kitts, including ECCB, in the amount of 637 million. You could call that reserve, right? Plus, it had some money in the SIDF. I don't know how much that was. But what I could tell you is that by 2018, the $637 million that Douglas left had increased to 673 million. Tim had moved it up to 673 million by the end of 2018. Now, I don't know what happened in 2019. I don't know if money were taken out and that amount had reduced, or if it went up. But one thing we know, 3 things could have happened. In 2019, the $673 million could have increased, right? And the other thing that could have happened is that it could have remained the same. In other words, no money was added to it, or it could have decreased. But I don't know. Government ain't going to give me that information, and that information is not going to be known until the audit report in 2020, right? Now, let us give the government the benefit of the doubt, right? Let us give the government the benefit of the doubt and conclude that the balance, the cash and cash equivalents in the banks was 700 million at the end of 2019. Let's say that we were coming into 2020 with $700 million in the bank. We're giving them the benefit of the doubt, right? Now, the government does not have to touch that 700 million ordinarily, you understand, unless it is running short. Now, what do I mean by running short? Understand how government operates. That's that money that it has, whether it's 700 million or less or more, right? That sits there, right? But government spends what it takes in, because remember that government takes in money from taxes, right? Government takes in money from fines and etc., right? So as government take in money, it spends it. Let us look at that. Government takes in money through the inland revenue. You all know about inland revenue. You go down there to pay for your license and all that. But any money coming into government should come through inland revenue. That's the way it's supposed to be, right? And then government spends money through the treasury. So money comes in to inland revenue and it goes out through the treasury. You all with me? Okay. No matter where the money is collected from, if it is government money, it ought to go through inland revenue. And no matter who is spending government money, and no matter for what purpose that money is disbursed, it's supposed to go through the treasury. That's one of the ways you assure accountability. But that is the way we say it's supposed to work. It is not always the way it works, because nowadays you're hearing about money spending through the development bank. And that's an easy way to launder money. It's an easy way to thief money. That is why the auditors can't get into the development bank to conduct its audit. They are not allowed to go into that bank. They are using that bank in an abnormal way. And now you hear them talking about wanting to forgive any monies that came from Social Security to the bank. The government is supposed to be made to pay any money to Social Security that the bank cannot repay or will not repay. There should be absolutely no way you could write off any monies that come from Social Security. Absolutely no way. The 81 million that went to the port, if the port can't pay it, then the government, the central government, got to pay it. You should never have a system or a situation where monies come out of Social Security and it's forgiven. That is a dangerous thing. That means people are going to thief the money and there's no repercussion. Now, at the beginning of 2020, the government in its budget estimated that it would spend about $617 million to run the day-to-day operations of the country or the government, right? The government also projected that it would collect $821 million to pay for that $617 million in spending. What that means is that the government had budgeted to make $204 million in surplus. That is what it budgeted. It doesn't mean that that's what would have happened, because what the tendency is that Dr. Harris tend to go back. He creates a budget that is unrealistic, unrepresentative. But then as the year go by, he keep going back and getting what we call supplemental warrants and spending. And so even though the budget said one thing, at the end of the year, it says something else, because the Prime Minister end up going and spending a lot more money than he had budgeted for. You understand? And so even though he says here that he's budgeting for $204 million in surplus, it may have very well ended up that he only had $4 million in surplus, because he would have spent up the rest. In 2018, Timothy spent more than $236 million more than what he budgeted for. The year before that, he spent $150 million more than he budgeted for. That's nearly $400 million he spent in 2 years, which he didn't budget for. And so you gotta watch him with a cock eye, you know. You gotta keep looking at him. You understand? And that is one of the disappointment I had with them winning the election, because it meant that we didn't get a chance to shine a light on what was happening in government. We didn't get a chance to show you the corruption and the trickery that they were trying. All right. Now, the government, right, if it made the $204 million in surplus, would not have to touch the money it has in reserves. Right now, we say we're working with about $700 million. He wouldn't have to touch that in reserves, right? Because it would have the money that it collected, the revenue that it collected, more than what it spent, right? So, let us see where we are. Initially, the government was going to take in 821 million in revenues, right? So that's 821. But then the ECCB says that the economy has shrunk about 17 or so percent, 17 to 20%, right? And the other countries in the OECS has said that they see a 50% shrinkage in the revenues. He hasn't gotten anything from Senki. Senki's not talk to nobody, right? No IMF are hear nothing, CDB not hear nothing, ECCB not hear nothing, right? But if we assume that the same 50% hit that the OECS counterpart countries took, if we assume that that same hit has affected the St. Kitts, then it means that instead of taking in $821 million, we instead would take in half of that, which comes up to about $410 million. So it means that we are going to take in $410 million, all things being equal, right? Now, look at this. Look at this. Straight off the bat, without other considerations, right? What was planned as a $204 million surplus, right, would then be a $207 million deficit. And that's if we end up spending the $617 million that we had said we're going to spend. And I don't see how is it we are not going to spend this $617 million. So it means that the government, because you see, remember that the government said that it had $120 million stimulus package. Now, a lot of it was just fake news. But let us assume that they end up having to pay, say, $20 million in severance. Right? Then that was $20 million that they didn't anticipate. If they were to pay the $22 million that they took out of Social Security, which I think they should, that would be about $42 million. You understand? Then they said they put $30 million in Development Bank for mortgage. Well, we know that that ain't true. We know that that ain't true. Right? But let's assume that. It means that government is likely to have spent somewhere close to the $617 million that it had budgeted, but only taking a fraction of that. Now, listen here what could happen. Listen what could happen. The revenue could probably turn out to be better than we thought if they manage to sell a lot of passport. Because remember, the passport accounts for the largest source of revenue for government. And remember, the government said that it's going to discount the passport, the citizenship by investment, it's going to discount the passports. And so they're hoping while the price go down, they could sell more and that the volume would make up for the discounted price. If that happens, well, the revenue situation may look better. Because remember what happened when during the Great Recession, the citizenship by investment that Dr. Douglas had put in place, the change that they had put in place, is what created the kind of money to get us out of the Great Recession. Dr. Harris is hoping that that happens now again. Because these guys don't have any ideas of their own. They have to piggyback on ideas that were put in place by Dr. Douglas. And so that is where we are. We could easily have a $200 to $300 million deficit. It is possible. Now you say, but we ain't got no problem because we have about $700 in reserves. But you really don't want to touch your reserve. Because if you take $300 million out of the reserve, all of a sudden you only got 400. And what if the hard times carry over to next year and the year after? Then your reserve gonna be zero. The other alternative that you could use immediately is to borrow money. But what if you have to borrow 300 million? And what if you have to do it another year? And then another year, all of a sudden you're up to 900 million. You're right back where you were when we got into trouble the last couple of years. And it is possible because this government has not shown that it knows how to run an economy. And if the economy right now has taken a 17% hit, you know how long it's going to take us to get out of that? In other words, you know how hard things are going to be for the next 3 to 5 years? Let me tell you something. It ain't going to be pretty. They don't want to tell you that, because they tell you how everything was so hunky-dory before the election. And that is why I was telling you, when it comes to voting for that election, me no really mean so concerned about personalities, I was concerned about abilities. This particular government here no got the kind of creative mind working for it that Douglas had. I didn't agree with all that Douglas did. But they had the brighter people, the smarter people working under Douglas than you have now. I say that with no water in my mouth. You understand me tell you? This government is only thriving because of ideas and decisions taken under the Denzel Douglas administration. That is what I was keeping my eye on when I tell you all, no vote for them. But who is me? You all went and you all vote for them. And now, I'm getting scared. I'm getting worried. I'm worried, I tell you. You see, I just sit down every now and again and play around with the numbers. I'm not bang on target, but I'm somewhere in the ballpark because, you see, they're not going to share the genuine information with me. So I only got to work with some old numbers and try and, guesstimate where we are right now. But it does point me in the right direction. It does point me in the right direction. So when you see the government introducing fines, 500 for not wearing your mask, it's because it looking revenue. Not because it so much love you. It's because it looking revenue. And you're going to find a lot of instances where existing revenues are increased, right? And where the government is going to be trying to find new areas of revenue, right? Because it is possible that the impact on the budget could be catastrophic. And I can tell you, if you have a major deficit, that deficit has to be accounted for. That deficit has to be paid for. And you're either going to take the money out of your reserve, or you're going to borrow money, including increasing your overdraft, or you're going to beg countries for grants, right? But that is where the problem is. It's going to put a burden on the country, right? Now, here's what the country could do. The country could cut expenditure, which means it could cut salaries, it could freeze increments, it could cut staff, right? It could cut allowances and other perks. Them they coming in. Me not ask you. Me tell you. Me tell you no. So that when it come, first. The government, like I said, could increase revenue. And it could increase revenue by finding new ways to generate revenues. When Douglas was telling you what he was going to do, Douglas' philosophy was that if he increases the opportunity for you to have money in your pocket, that you're going to spend it, because consumption accounts for a significant portion of the economy. So when he said he was going to give you a 15% increase, a couple of things was going to happen. You were going to spend some of that, and that would generate revenue for the central government. But the other thing is, that would have increased the amount of money going into the Social Security, right, to help to show up the Social Security. And a couple other things that would happen if Labour had won, right? Now, having said that, we have to make sure that we look out for everybody, those who vote for the government and those who didn't vote for the government. You know why? Of those people who are not earning an income right now, a lot of them vote for government. A lot of them vote for government. But a lot of them are Labour too. And so everybody in it together. I told you that in 3 months, this government is going to be one of the most unpopular government in the history of the country. 3 months. We're not 3 months yet. You tell me how they're doing. You tell me how popular they are. You tell me when they come and tell you they ain't got no money to pay severance. What nonsense they're talking. They got money. It's just that the money might done soon. But they got money right now. They got money right now in cash and cash equivalents. So they could spend the money and make sure you get your severance. Not let them fool you. Take your severance and spend it wisely. All right? Okay, I think I done chat enough. I'm going to call it a night. You understand? I'm going to call it a night. And then next week, we're going to come back and chit-chat a little bit more. So, guys, take care. Have a good evening. And thanks for tuning in to the Rebuttal. I enjoyed having you. Take care, y'all.
I love being in the latest.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I want to stick in this little piece here. You know, the government has been saying that the severance fund is empty. And it has been saying it in a manner as to suggest that is the Labour government's fault. But the Labour government has been out of office now for nearly 6 years. Severance have been paid out of the fund every year since 2015. So it's no different now. The fund is underfunded. And as such, more has been paid out than has been paid in. And so there is often a deficit. But it's up to the government to meet that deficit. You see, why would the fund be empty? The fund would be empty because more is paid out than paid in. That means that people are being made redundant. And it turns out that people are being made redundant at a significant rate in St. Kitts. Jobs are lost at significant rate. And that's before the present COVID problem. Also, some people are taking their long service package and leaving the jobs. I get the impression that this government is upset that the Labour government introduced that long service benefit or gratuity for workers. And so that's part of the reason they're blaming the government for the severance plan not being properly funded. But I'm saying that if the severance fund is empty, it is because the present government has mismanaged it. When it goes low, you're supposed to tap it up. You understand? So the present government need to replenish the fund and just be quiet. Pay the people their money. Wasn't it you who used to say that you got surplus upon surplus upon surplus? Well, use the surplus and pay it out and stop making excuses. Simple as that. And I done.
Change now, things need to rearrange now. Cause if we've never been to school, every year them ride we like mule. Life ain't no game show. I wanna know if they know what it's like. Coming from country, no even young people are crying. Cause the system of IP, this is a cry from the ghetto. Done, you know we can't see them. If them not change, it change. Me and me people now vote again. Me a talk to the dirty beggar them, and the dirty ass promoter them. Me can't believe the whole of them love send me money out the country. All the fight them, I fight them, not fight for you and me. No, all my people are cry cause them can't take no more. This is a cry from the ghetto. People are dying, children are hungry. This is a cry from the ghetto. Can't believe me, one system I fight with. This is a cry from the ghetto. People are dying, children are hungry. This is a cry from the ghetto.